Welcome to Habs Unfiltered, episode 374. I'm your host, Blain, and I'm joined now by my co-host, Trege Wilson.
Hello.
It has been a minute since our last episode. Want to apologize to everyone, but we are incredibly busy. Matt being the hero of the Air Force, Treg lifting things, and me trying to avoid work, but failing miserably.
Just got to get posted where I'm posted.
I want to. I got to do a couple years on this thing first, though. Get it out of the way. No. What are we gonna do? What are you gonna do? All right. So as you can see, it's just me and Treg. Matt is he's working for the Air Force. I think he's just making it up.
Apparently, plane guys work more than helicopter guys. Like a lot more. Like night and day.
It's not hard to work more than helicopter guys.
True, but a helicopter guy, they work 10 to 12, and that's their day.
10 a.m. to 12 a.m. 12 p.m.
That's what I'm
2
saying.
hours.
Like 10
every
to
day.
10 to noon. At most.
4 days a week.
Maybe. But Matt, he's like 7 to 7, weekends. Can you imagine a helicopter guy working weekends?
No.
Exactly. They barely do it when we're sailing.
Fixed wing Air Force types are the shit.
The shit. Now, I don't know if he's actually doing any work. I just know he's at work.
It's still a step up.
Yeah.
There's a reason why we call him Master. Master Corporal.
I'm just petty. I'm just a petty officer.
I've become the chief of being petty.
But I'm a first class petty officer.
True.
So
it's true. I'm feeling a little bit extra petty because I'm only second class.
But you're chief second class, so you're the head of the second class petty people.
Yeah. I'm leading the way.
Anyone who doesn't know Navy ranks, I have no idea what these guys are talking about.
That's the beauty of it. So, all right, then we'll switch back to hockey, and that's why people actually listen. It's not because of the military. I know I would hang up or stop watching. So, as we record today, it is the 19th of September. Today, Hughes followed through on his promise to trade Casey DeSmith, and he traded him to the Canucks in return for Tanner Pearson and a third-round pick. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the rookie camp, which came to an end yesterday. And we'll talk a little bit about the cap and a bunch of other things. So why don't we just start first with the rookie camp? Okay. You're writing an article on your impressions of the rookie camp, and I'm going to piggyback on you here and there. But why don't you tell us who did you see in this camp that really stood out to you?
William Trudeau, I thought, had an excellent rookie camp for the Canadiens. He played in the AHL last year with Laval, but I think he's really took a step forward. And I thought he was excellent. I thought he was one of those. He reminded me of a Kovacevic. He was good in his own end. He was good in the offensive end. He didn't make many mistakes. He was consistent. He was out there for. I don't even think there's a goal against while he was on the ice. Maybe in the Buffalo game, but I'm trying to think. But I just found he had a very solid game for a defenseman. And I mean, we've always said on this show many times that if you don't hear a guy's name, especially a defenseman, it means he's having a good game. And you kind of did hear Trudeau's game, but it was all in a positive light. There wasn't many mistakes. There wasn't many miscues. It's just, he just played a good, solid game. And so to me, I thought that was a big step forward for him. Turgenet, I thought, had a pretty good, I'm going to throw him out there too, because I thought he played well, but he's not going to be on my list, but I thought he had a pretty good camp as well. So That's
Well,
one.
I think
One
he
guy.
looked
I don't know if you want to do one at a time or if you want me to do all three and then talk. So
well with Touring. I watched him closely as well because he did play pro last year, and
mhm.
being such a small defenseman, he's kind of at a disadvantage. But I thought he skated extremely well. He was well positioned. He was a little out of place at times, you can tell, and that's why it just screams Laval for him.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. He played well, not excellent, didn't stand out per se, but he did okay. Uh, on my end, on the blue line, I loved Trudeau's game throughout the tournament, and I thought he did amazing. Wearing the C helped, kind of
Mhm.
help him stand out a little bit because of the leadership side. And I know people are going to hate that I say this, but I thought Logan Mailloux showed the most improvement from game one to game three. Because game one, he was absolute trash.
Yeah. Well, he's actually another guy on my list.
Yeah.
And I agree. I thought um, I like what Montreal did. They kept him from the press after game one and
Yeah.
sheltered him. He didn't he kept him from the press in game two as well. Um, but I'm gonna bring a caveat. He did improve through the tournament, but Boston and Ottawa were not really good prospect teams. I think each team only had actually three top prospects on each team, but I'm not taking away from his play. The thing I noticed with Mayu was in game one, it was all nerves. It was like
Yeah.
he was nervous and then tried to do too much at everything he did. And I mean, his defensive game in game one was just terrible. It was terrible. Like, I can understand why people were saying this guy's not even an AHL player. I think people overreacted, of course, to the
What?
first game. But
Canadians fans overreacted?
yeah. But
See,
I found game against Boston, I thought he was excellent, and a game against Ottawa, I thought he was the best defenseman on the ice. And
oh yeah.
he hit what, two posts, I think. His shot is so accurate. Um,
Yeah.
for a guy who's only played 100 games over the past 3 years, he seems to catch on very quick. I found what mistakes he did make in the defensive end in the next two games, he didn't make twice. He calmed down, he relaxed, and he just played his game. And the thing with Mayu is this is what you're going to. So by no means am I comparing Mayu to this hockey player that I'm going to name. Okay, so before anyone goes crazy, like today when I said I think Nemec and Mayu will both be second pair defensemen, that doesn't mean I think they're going to be the same defenseman. It just means I think they're both going to play on a second pair for the team they're playing for.
You monster.
I know. Anyway, think of PK Subban and the way Subban played. Highly offensive defenseman, below average defender.
Sure.
That's kind of what Mayu is going to be. I think he's a little bit better defensively um, over time, or I think could be over time. But that's what you're going to get from Mayu. You're going to get a guy who could probably, if he's partnered with the right D partner, like maybe a Caden Gooley, maybe. This is a guy who could probably get you 50, 60 points as an offensive defenseman.
And that's kind of like Subban too, because with Subban, he had his best years when he had Markov on his pairing. So a Gooley, who I'm not comparing to Markov whatsoever.
You
I'm
are.
just I am, yeah, totally. They're exactly the same. It's unbelievable. It's uncanny. No, but so Markov was that steadying force on the blue line for Subban, whereas someone like Gooley could be for Mayu. Whereas in this tournament, it was Trudeau who was playing that solidifying force
Yeah.
for him. And I believe that they're going to be paired up in Laval, and we're going to see a very good pairing there.
Yeah. And I think Jaden Struble in the Ottawa game was a very good pairing
Oh yeah,
for Mayu in the third game. So before anyone freaks out about Mayu, and yes, I will say, yes, Boston and Ottawa were weaker prospect teams than Buffalo was. But that doesn't change the fact. It's like Hull said after the game. We weren't looking at the talent between the two teams. We were looking at what the players were doing on the ice and how they were executing it. whether you play against a top team or a bottom team, you still got to execute your plays the proper way, right? And when you look at it that way, it doesn't matter what the talent is you're against. Um, but having said that, I think Mayu was. I'm going to have to put him down as a standout because he had that terrible, terrible first game. Instead of going into a shell, and he picked his game up and calmed down, and I thought he played excellent. And then the third guy on that is, of course, Joshua Waugh. I thought Joshua Waugh was
Oh yeah.
probably head heads above everybody else on the Canadiens prospect. Every time he was in the offensive zone, he created a scoring chance every single time. And Mishak wouldn't have had his goal if it wasn't for the work Waugh did in front of the net to put that puck behind the goaltender. So, and of course his one timer and then the tip in. I mean, what can you say about? I mean, Waugh, and we're going to get into a little bit this later, could have his foot as one of the guys they're looking at, could start the season in Montreal. I'm not saying he will, but we talked about Heineman, we talked about some other guys. The way he played at that rate, if he plays the way he did at that rookie camp through the regular camp, there's going to be some decisions to be made on where they're going to put him. I hope it's Laval, but
I do think he'll end up in
yeah.
Laval, but
Oh, for sure.
having these guys step up and go to the main camp, you got to at least get them there. You got to invite them. You got to give them the experience, and then you want to see how they perform. Just like you mentioned with Mayu, like Hood's comments, it doesn't matter who you're playing against. It's all about how you perform. You get them there, see how they react, how they perform. Maybe they do steal a job. Maybe Sean Farrell steps his game up. Maybe Roy steals a job. Like, who knows? But I agree that I thought Roy was probably the best forward, but I saw bits of what I expected out of each player up front. Like Owen Beck, he was excellent two-way center, wins face-offs. He generated some offense. He was always in the right position defensively.
Excellent back
Farrell
checking.
showed some flashes. Yeah, and
Yeah.
Farrell showed some flashes. So did Heineman. Kidney, I liked what I saw from him.
See, I'm the opposite. I didn't like what I saw from Kidney, and I'll tell you why. Because the first two games, I found he was afraid to get hit. He seen a
Yeah,
guy coming at him a couple times in the Boston game and just dumped the puck. He didn't go into the corners, and now in the Ottawa game, totally different player. Totally different player. He was going into corners. He was throwing checks. He was
mm-hmm.
so. I see what you're saying. However, I felt in the first two games, I was like, it looked like he was playing a William Nylander style of hockey game and didn't
Yeah.
want to get in those muddy areas or didn't. I don't know if he was afraid to get hurt or if he wasn't taking it serious, but I didn't like that from him. I didn't mind his play off the puck or with the puck. Those little things to me kind of irritated me. So it
Well,
gave me a bad taste.
I'm not saying these guys did all that every single shift. I'm
No,
just
no,
saying
I
from start
understand.
to finish,
Yeah.
they started to
Uh,
improve. They showed some flashes with Kidney. He's always been a peripheral player,
mhm.
but in that Ottawa game, he was able to come off the boards and cut to the middle several times. So he'd battle on the boards, win the battle, and cut straight to the middle of the ice. That is what I wanted to see more of from him, and we saw it. So I think that is going to earn him an invite to the main camp at least. I don't see him going above Laval this year, but
No.
this
I,
helped.
I think the same with Sean Farrell. I don't. I think
Yeah,
Sean
yeah,
Farrell
yeah. Stuff's
get
falling.
us. We have guests coming for the weekend, so we got a mattress in here. Um, um, I think Farrell didn't show me enough. I think he'll get invited to the main camp, but I don't think he showed me enough to show that he won't get past Laval or he will get
Yeah.
past Laval. I mean, um, Heineman, I was a bit disappointed in. I thought I'd see more out of him, and he was very quiet. He was very quiet tournament. I think he only played 2 games. I don't think he played the full tournament. I can't
But in those two
recall.
games, he did show his speed. He did show his
He did.
shot. He went
Um,
to the net. I mean, he showed some good stuff there, but not he didn't walk away with it. You know what I mean?
Correct. And he's one of the guys that I expected to challenge for a spot in the NHL. And I think that's why I was a little bit.
Yeah.
And again, it's a rookie tournament. It's 3 games from a bunch of guys that hadn't played all summer, just getting together and doing whatever. Massar, you can really tell the weight he gained slowed him down a bit. I don't know if that's going to be a
Um,
concern.
I
Um,
liked I liked his game overall. Like he's someone that usually kind of darts in and out, flitters around on the outside. But in this showcase, he was able to slow the game down, make some plays, cut in through traffic, generate some offense by cutting through that traffic and generating passing lanes and shooting lanes. Like these are things, and his skating is still excellent. So these are things you want to see from him. And again, it screams Laval. I didn't see anything from these guys that we just mentioned that says, "Hey, I'm getting an NHL job." Other than Roy,
yeah.
I don't think anyone really reached that level.
I thought Reinbacher was solid in the two games he
Yeah,
played. He didn't blow anyone's socks off or anything. He didn't, but
I
he
don't think he
played
tried
his
to.
game. No, he played his. He didn't. He just went out and played.
Yeah,
He played his game, and to me, that's. I mean, he won his board battles. He when he did do that offensive pinch and it kind of backfired on him, he got back. It prevented a scoring chance when he got back. He did it. I think he didn't try to go out and do too much, which was good. He just played his game. And when he had chances offensively, he did what he could. He had a good shot chance, but he kind of flubbed the shot there. And I think it was the game against Ottawa. And, but other than that, I mean, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, Reinbacher, fifth overall. He should. I thought he played his game. And again, you're looking at a guy who's going to pair up against a highly offensive um, defender and Lane Hudson, who I think he's going to be paired with, and he's going to do his job. Like I'll say this 100 times: it's easier to get a star winger as a free agent or a trade than it is to get a top two defenseman, which is what I think you're going to have with Reinbacher.
yeah, yeah. And I'm going to get to the defense here in a minute. There's something that, well, actually, I'll get to Smilanic here in a moment,
Mm.
but the blue line that the Canadiens are starting to put together from top to bottom, NHL prospect wise, they are all highly mobile.
Mm-hmm.
It's no longer that big, heavy type of defense that we saw in the 2021 run. It's no matter how big or small they are, they're all extremely mobile. They're very agile on their edges. They're able to change direction at top speed. They can handle the puck well. They do a good job clearing the zone, and they do really well in transition as well as uh, controlled zone exits and entries. So this style of defense, this is the way the NHL has gone, and the Canadiens are finally entering that modern age.
Yeah, and like I say, when I talk about Gooley and Reinbacher being paired up with high offensive players, the difference is these guys are offensive players as well. Like these aren't guys
Yep.
that are going to get you 15, 20 points. These are guys that are going to get you 35 to 45 points alongside a defenseman who get you anywhere from 50 to 60.
Exactly.
These are high marks.
Yeah,
Like I'm
yeah.
not, again, before anyone freaks out, these are high marks, right? These are, projections, predictions, um, based on how we hope they develop into what they become based on their talent leading up to the NHL. Um, it's stupid. You got to explain everything before people freak the hell out. But anyway, um, so when you say something like, so if you got two defensemen paired up that can get you 100 points, I mean, come on,
And shut down top lines.
and shut down top lines. Like, I mean, because Lane Hudson, again, he's not going to be a defensive dynamo. But you know what? Lane Hudson and Logan Mayo aren't on the ice to be defensive dynamos, right? They're on the ice for the offense they have and that extra. Gooley and Reinbach are there for the defense, right? They're gonna back these guys up, and then when they pinch in, they have a chance to do it too. Because I mean, Reinbach and Gooley both have a hell of a shot on them as well. So, and from what the scouts say in Montreal, Reinbacher's offense is we haven't even seen it yet, and
No.
they really like it. So,
Yeah, and I fully expect to see him go back to Cloton and
yes,
really, really explode offensively. But I do believe that Reinbacher is going to have an extended look in the NHL, not just in the preseason. I think he's going to get a couple of NHL games before they send him back.
Really, I'm thinking the opposite. I'm thinking he's going to get games after his season in Colton, but actually,
Yeah.
that's a possibility. Like he can. There's no 9 game rule for him, so he can get a couple games and then they can go send him. Or if he, I just hope they don't keep him to keep him like they did with Slavkovsky last year.
I agree. I agree. He has to, in my opinion, he has to go back so that he can develop that offensive side because
Yeah.
in the second half of the year with Cloten, he was their top pairing guy. He was their top power play guy. He's going to go back and do that again. So now he's going to have a full season in that role and allow him to
Yeah.
expand his offensive side a little bit more before he comes back to North America. I think that
Totally
would be
agree.
helpful.
I mean,
Now,
worst case scenario, I say top pairing in AHL if he doesn't go back to Colton. But
yeah,
even then, I'd prefer him to develop his offensive skills over where he's familiar.
I agree. Not just because it's best for him, but it's also best overall for the organization as it gives that top four at Laval to guys who are already here in North America who need that ice time as well. So now you're spreading out the ice time and situational play to as many guys as possible, and that's only going to help Montreal.
Yep, agreed.
Now on Ty Smolonic, I thought that he did enough to earn an invite to the main camp, but he has not shown me enough to earn a contract yet.
I thought he had an excellent first game against Buffalo. And then that was it. You know what I mean? Like I want by excellent. I mean he stood out in the Buffalo game. I
Mm-hmm.
mean I think he scored. So,
Yep.
um, but I agree. And you have to think too. Some of these guys are gonna have to go on an AHL, ECHL type deal because they just don't have enough room for them all. I mean, you're going to have Struble, Trudeau, Mayu, um, Turgenet. Well, there's your top four, and then you
Yeah.
have the free agents they picked up for Laval there in the off season that are going to play down there. So I can see him maybe playing for Trois Rivières maybe to start the season and be bounced back and forth between them and Laval. But I think an
Right.
AHL deal is going to be thrown at him over and I wouldn't be shocked just to bring this up. I wouldn't be shocked if that Spooner guy gets a ECHL AHL deal. I thought he had a pretty
Yeah.
good game against Ottawa. I thought Colin Miller had an excellent game against Boston. Um, but of course he's going back to Quebec. So
It
um,
all depends on whether or not the Canadians want control of the goaltending in Trois because right now they have Strauss Mann
mhm,
signed as a goaltender to a two-way AHL ECHL deal.
mhm.
Now, are they expecting Primo to clear waivers and go down? Are they expecting Strauss Mann to be the starter in for the Lyon? Maybe they add Spoonar under the same rule that they signed Joe Verbatic with, the 19-year-old rule, and they have themselves a pretty solid tandem for Trois where they can actually maybe compete for a little bit more than just sneak into the playoffs kind of thing.
It'll be interesting with Primo because if someone claims
Yeah,
him, Dobish is the only guy they have really in Laval right now. Kevin Poulin
yeah,
retired,
yeah.
so who do they? Casey DeSmith is gone. Not that he was going there anyway, but so they don't really have a backup right now in well Primo, but or Dobish, but Primo. I think they're expecting Primo to clear waivers and get to be able to go to Laval. I think that's what they're
That
expecting.
is the expectation. However, I can see them hedging their bets. I know people are saying, "Well, they just drafted three guys." Yeah, but none of those three guys are going to be signed to a deal right now. So you get
No,
Spoonar in, and he just fills a hole in the interim.
yeah,
He looks serviceable. Let him fill a hole there and go with it.
until Miller and Fowler are ready to take the next step, or the
Because he's
Russian
not going to
goalie
be.
comes over.
Yeah, it'll be a year or two at the least
For
before any
any
of them
of
show up.
for any of them, yeah. And this Russian goalie's looking pretty good in the VHL
Yeah,
over in Russia. So they did their homework on these goalies.
And he didn't have to get loaned out to another team that's lower in the standings. He stayed right where he was.
Yeah, how's that loan going? I know he had a point, 2 points in his first game, but I don't think he got anything in the second game. I don't know.
Who? Who are you talking about?
That that guy, the superstar of all superstars, that's going to play for the Flyers.
Nail Yakubov?
Yeah, that's it. Habby Bulin. Arthur
The
Zerbe.
universe. The cosmos.
The cop. It's just a game. It's just a game.
All right. So that covers the rookie camp side. So let's switch gears to the trade. So you mentioned DeSmith uh being gone. And at the top of the show, I mentioned it's DeSmith for Pearson in a third. Now, for me, the key to that trade that makes it a decent trade is not just the pick, but no salary retained.
By either team. So it's a good
Exactly.
thing and a bad thing. um, I thought they got more than what I thought they get for DeSmith. I'll be honest. I thought
Yep.
they were going to get a fourth or fifth round pick for DeSmith, and that was about it. It does give them 2025. They have 2 first rounds, 2 second rounds, 2 third rounds, and 2 fourth round picks. If I'm correct on that, I don't have my
You are,
friend.
depending on the Calgary first round pick. Like it
Yes,
could be
which
2037. Who knows?
it depends on if the moon and the sun and the cosmos line up in the right direction before that pick comes out.
Yeah.
So, but for me, I don't understand the Tanner Pearson part of it. Now, I know you mentioned in your tweet he gives grit. He gives, and I agree. He's a veteran that's going to give you bottom
Yeah.
6 minutes, kill penalties. He's going to give you that grit. He's a gritty guy. He's not afraid to get dirty, but there's no room as it is. And now you're putting someone like Pizzetta, Yolonen, RHP, Slavkovsky, which one of them already can't make the team, unless Armia gets waived or something like that. Now you're going to have 2 of them can't make the team unless other people are moved or waived. So that's my only, I guess, issue with the deal.
Yeah.
And the cap space. It just raised our cap space to over 6 million. 3 million of that is penalties from last year. But it makes me think Pierre LeBrun might be correct on something he's been hearing out of Montreal. That's all.
That there's more trades coming.
And it's going to involve a huge name of the Montreal Canadiens. I don't know if anyone's heard that rumor yet. It was on the game.
A huge name in Montreal.
Yeah.
Trying to find Kovacevic. That's one of the biggest names there.
It's actually
you actually meant like
a huge player. Well, he's not big. He might be now. He hasn't played in a while.
well, I can. Well, I don't know about trading away Price now. When you think about there being 6 million over the cap,
Yeah, but
keeping Price helps them.
But Price is on the cap, so you trade him, you lost you're under the cap by 4 million because Price isn't on LTIR yet. So
not yet.
Yeah. I don't know.
Way.
I just my big thing is the fact that you have way too many forwards that you're going to push a young guy like RHP or Yolonen out of the lineup for a plug.
Yeah. I totally understand that point of view. I kind of feel the same way at the same time. But with Dvorak out with injury earlier on in the season, that leaves that spot open for now. And I look at the adding Pearson one. When he's healthy, he's an excellent 5-on-5 player. He does puck retrieval extremely well. He plays extremely well at 5-on-5. He can play with better players. He can play down the lineup, up the lineup. That would make him, if he stays healthy and fairly productive, like I'm not saying like a point every other game, but if he can have 20 points by the time the trade deadline happens, that's a guy that can get you a second round pick.
Oh, totally. And I was going to bring that up later. I mean, the positive to Tanner is he's a free agent and you can dump him at the trade deadline. Now, he had hand injuries all last season, kept only 14 games, played got
Yeah.
5 points, but he is a 30. The year before, he did have 34 points in 68 games. So that's what, 0.5 points a game or so. 14. He is a former 20 goal scorer. Did it a couple times. So,
And he's got a cup ring.
yes, with Los Angeles.
This is the guy that Bergevin had this he was just drooling over for a few years trying to get him.
I think
Now
Hughes just got
gets
him. Hughes
Yeah.
got him just because Bergevin didn't.
I can get him and you can't.
Yeah. But I mean, I think there's more move. I truly believe there's more moves to be made. I just don't know who. The only rumor I hear is Price, and I'm with you. I mean, either uses LTIR or either way, it's the same thing, really. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we have way too many defensemen. Now we have way too many forwards. I don't know. It's a confusing time right now in Montreal.
Joel Armia for a first round pick. It's happening. It's happening.
Hey, maybe. Hear me out. Price's LTIR contract to Toronto for William Nylander. Hear me out. Relieves Toronto's cap, and it gives Montreal enough room to sign William Nylander.
You're just trolling now.
There's your star forward, people. There's your star.
Why not just kick both fan bases in the nuts?
When it comes to, I'm writing an article on this just for clickbait research, and Price Nylander. That's the whole title. That's all it's going to say. A big explanation point.
Oh boy, careful. It'll burn your house.
The thing is, though, with Price, even if they do trade, where's he going to go? Really, he has to go to a team that needs LTIR. That or Arizona, where every other star player has gone when he hasn't retired yet. I mean, they literally
go to Vegas.
They literally have the 2008 All-Star team in Arizona right now. So I don't, like I say, I'm not against the trade. I don't think it's a terrible trade. I don't think it's actually, I'm going to say it's a good trade because they actually got more for DeSmith than I thought they would get. A third round pick is excellent. A third round pick alone would have been excellent for DeSmith. Personally. Yeah.
And now the possibility of a player that he can flip at the deadline for as much as a second, maybe, a third or a fourth, but if he performs well, they can possibly get a second.
I mean, even if they get a third, you basically got 2 third-round picks for a backup goalie.
Never played a single game in your team.
But he did have Jose Theodore's number.
Online, yes.
He did. There was a picture of him wearing 60.
Was his hair flowing behind him?
No, but I heard the Mafia contacted and said, whoa, hey.
The Propecia bottle is ours.
Yeah. Lay off the Rogaine.
We do Propecia in this city. But I mean, I know people are going to get pissed off about the trade for some reason, somehow, somewhere. Vancouver needed a veteran backup goaltender to help Demko, and they're going for a playoff spot this year. So this made perfect sense for them.
Yeah, I think it's a fair trade for both teams. I don't think anyone really won or lost the trade.
No,
everyone got what they wanted. I think Casey DeSmith has a 911 career save percentage, so it's not like he's a junk goalie.
No, he's a guy you can rely on for 30 games.
Yeah. Again, I just don't. The only thing I get out of the Tanner Pearson thing is that you can flip him at the trade deadline. That's it. And a solid veteran guy in your bottom 6 to help guide along the young guys, I suppose. But my fear is that it's going to push a young guy out of a spot. That's all.
There is that possibility. I do agree. Now, I don't know. I think this was mostly done just to piss off Bergevin at this point.
Big time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's what this is all about. So all you PK Subban lovers, you should be loving this trade.
Yeah. Ken Hughes hears you. He hears you.
Sure
Oh,
does.
Bergevin couldn't get Tanner Pearson. Hold my beer.
Hold my Molson.
uh,
No, so yeah, that's pretty much it for the trade. Um, if there is a cap casualty, if it's not Price, who do you honestly think it would be moved out to help, kind of solidify the salary cap?
the easiest guy to trade out is Josh Anderson because there's going to actually be a need for Josh Anderson somewhere. I mean, of course, you want to say Joel Armia, you want to say Brendan Gallagher, you want to say all these high price guys. I mean, and I'm not
Yeah,
dunking on Brendan Gallagher. Um, I'm just saying it's 6.5 for a guy who's going to play on the third line, who probably won't get back to the 30 goal scorer he was.
no,
Mind you, he earned that contract when he signed it. I'm not going to, take that away from him. But really, you 5.5 for Josh Anderson, and then you throw Armia down in the minors, and you just cleared your cap. So,
true. It is true.
and you're going to get a good return for Josh Anderson if you trade him off. I mean, that's just the logical move for me. It's not what I want. Of course, I would love to see them move Joel Armia, but who's going to take Joel Armia?
True.
He's Yager for 21 game out of every 20, and then he's Phil Bork for the rest. So, like that's my only thing. Anderson to me is the logic. You could say Mike Matheson, but he just got the A, and I don't think they have any at this point in time. I don't think they're in a rush to move him. He's basically contract's going to be almost over by the time guys like Reinbacher, Hudson, and Mayu are all ready to be regulars on the blue line. So he's kind of in that perfect spot. If someone wants to take Gallagher's $6.5 million, okay. But again, I don't see. I just think Anderson will be the easiest contract to move.
Yes.
Sorry, all you Anderson lovers, and you're welcome, all you Anderson analytical guys who hate Anderson.
I that's the problem with leading all the way on to one thing versus another. Eye test versus analytics or vice versa. You miss out on the nuance. So this is a guy who plays a power forward game,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know how you can quantify that with the analytics
You can't.
solely.
You can't. I don't think you can
No.
quantify any player with analytics solely, or the eye test solely, or anything like that. You have to take the entire picture and put it together. And there's nothing against analytics, but analytics doesn't tell you the picture. It just tells you a part of the picture. I like Anderson. I like his style of play. I wish he'd stay healthier. I wish he'd be more consistent. If he played consistently, he's a 30 goal scorer easily in the NHL. But he doesn't. And I don't think he's overpaid at $5.5 million. I think it's a pretty good deal for that type of player right now.
Yeah.
But like you said, if we needed to move money out and it's not going to be Carey Price, that is, to me, that's the only logical contract that can be moved out.
I mean, he's the one that holds the most value. He's got the most value to a playoff team. He's at the right age now. He's just coming out of his prime. Um, sitting at about 28, 29 years old. His salary cap, especially considering that the cap is going to be going up significantly next year, seems to be a lot more palatable. So you could get something of true value in return for him, but you're losing that speedy, big, heavy hitting, forechecking power forward.
And you don't have that to replace. I mean, you could say Slavkovsky, but Slavkovsky doesn't have the
He's not
speed
ready.
Anderson has. He's not ready. And I don't see anyone else on the team that could Kirby Doc, but he's going to play center. So
Joel Armia.
Yeah, if he plays like Joel Armia every 22nd game,
Every game.
if he played like that every game, Jesus, he'd be his 3 million contract would be a steal.
Are you
But
kidding? 60% of the time, he's awesome 100% of the time.
it's more like 10% of the time. He's awesome 100% of the time. Um, but yeah, to me, that's the only other thing I can see you doing is maybe giving up like a Jordan Harris or a Justin Barron along with Armia and a pick just to get rid of the contract. And I don't think
That's too much.
Hughes is not a fan of giving up assets for nothing. So
Especially not good, solid young assets.
yeah. So I mean, there will be a time when you're going to have to look at all these young defensemen and make a clear view of who's in your future and who's not, and
Yeah.
then move. Because I mean, if Reinbacher, Mayu, Gooley, and Hudson are going to be your top four, then I think Barron and Harris are expendable just for the simple fact you're you don't want to bury top four players on your bottom pairing. You're better off, especially when you have Jack Eye, who is the perfect bottom pairing, and then you can plug the the other one in with a random NHL vet. You can trade those guys for excellent assets because you're basically trading a top four defenseman. So, or maybe Barron and Harris are the guys that are going to end up staying, and maybe Gooley's out. I don't know. I'm just saying that's my view on it. Like I know a lot of people say get rid of Jack Eye and keep Harris, but I wouldn't want to bury Harris or Barron on the third pairing if they're not third pairing if they're top four defensemen. That's just wasting an asset, in my opinion.
Okay. I agree. All right, so that's pretty much it for this episode. Final thoughts.
Why do pancakes always win at baseball? They have better batter.
Boo.
What do you call having your grandma on speed dial? Instagram. Come on, that one was funny. That was okay. Anyway, I'm done. Nothing. I got nothing.
Horrible.
I got 10 days left before my show on the 30th. So if you're in Halifax, it's Spats Theater on Saturday night, 6 o'clock. Come see a bunch of fake tanned naked guys standing on stage. Or almost naked. Almost naked. Other than that, no. Hey, I think there's more to come. I wouldn't doubt there will be. Won't I would not. So what I'm looking for, I wouldn't doubt there'll be another move before October 10th. Remember, preseason is preseason. Exhibition games are exhibition games. Don't read too much into them. Remember, this team's not a playoff team, and it's not a bottom five team. It's going to be somewhere in the middle. I think they're going to draft around 12 or 13 from the bottom. So relax.
Yeah.
Enjoy the season. Watch stars watch Caulfield score his goals. Let's hope for a healthy season. And if you wanted them to tank, let's not hope for a healthy season because that's the only way they're going to drop to the bottom five again. But and let's see what happens. Let's hope all the young guys improve. That's all we can hope for. Just relax, as Carey Price would say.
And for me, I just want to say thank you to everyone for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing the episode. Thank you for sending us all your comments and your emails and interacting with us on social media. I know that our show totals haven't been as much as we want, but with the very, very busy schedule that we have from our day jobs and Trege lifting heavy things and spray tanning, it's just unfortunate the way it's going to work out. With me, I'm going to be even busier as the season wears on. So we'll do our best to put out as much as we can, and most of all, we'll do our best to watch every single game because, like Treg said, we want to see these guys play. We want to see them perform. We want to see them improve. Not necessarily, it's not necessarily about wins. It's about how they win and how they lose. Are the games close? Are they competitive? Are players improving? That's what matters this year. So, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for helping us out. And remember, when